Virgil van Dijk surgery, just the phrase Reds fans were fearing. This is the agenda here on the Blood Red channel as we bring you huge breaking news which could have massive ramifications for Liverpool's Premier League title defence. I'm Guy Clarke. Alongside me, the Liverpool Echo's Liverpool correspondent, Paul Gorst. Gorsty, let's get straight to it. What is the prognosis with Virgil van Dijk?
Well, it's not good. Jurgen Klopp said as much yesterday after the 2-2 draw with Everton in the press conference, and Klopp was particularly downbeat at the time, and he just said it's not good, but we'll wait and see. So Van Dijk was initially sent to a hospital on Saturday evening. He left that hospital on crutches. He was subsequently sent for a second opinion by a specialist today. And Liverpool were hopeful that they'd have some news today, and the news is not good. So he's set to undergo surgery. He has sustained ACL damage. There's no time frame as of yet as to how long he's going to be absent for, which is probably not what Liverpool fans want to hear. But Liverpool are trying to be, sensible and proactive in terms of how they're, taking this injury. Let's make no bones about it. Van Dijk is one of the most integral players to the club, and he's been absolutely incredible in the near 3 years that he's been at Liverpool, and certainly from my point of view, he's probably the best defender that I've ever seen at the club. So they're wary of saying something that is not quite right at this stage. So it's quite simple, really. He's going to undergo surgery that it hasn't been arranged as of yet, but it's looking like he faces certainly an uphill battle, I'd suggest, at this stage to play again before this season is out. And obviously with the Euros coming up in the summer, it's going to be difficult for him to get back to full fitness for that. But it's not being ruled out, but there's no kind of underlying optimism, shall we say, from the people I've spoken to today.
Yeah, certainly not. Of course, that 9th-minute collision with Jordan Pickford, it was in many ways, bar the offside right at the end of the game, the real major talking point from the game itself. Van Dijk did pick himself up. He walked back to the dressing room. But as you say, Jurgen Klopp immediately in the press conference after the game made reference to the fact Van Dijk doesn't miss games. He doesn't stay down injured. He doesn't come off the pitch very easily. And of course, it's transpired to this news now, which, as you say, might end up being quite desperate for Liverpool.
Yeah, well, Klopp said he wasn't sure how many games Van Dijk had played, but it was 74 actually. So Liverpool have played every game in the Premier League for the last 74 with Van Dijk, and you think they've only lost 5 in the last 81. That's basically shows you how important he is to this team. I think he missed the Club World Cup semi-final through illness, but apart from that, he played every minute of the Premier League season last year as Liverpool romped home to the title. And look, he's certainly one of the absolute superstars of the team. So you can't sugarcoat it. It is horrendous news for those of a Liverpool persuasion. And at a time when the numbers are already thin at centre-back, they've only got 3 senior centre-backs after all. Losing your top guy 5 games into the season when you're just kind of in a little bit of a sticky patch after that 7-2 defeat to Villa, and then the draw at Everton is not the news that anyone wanted to hear. So it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool react to this. Will they go into the transfer market for a free transfer? I'm not sure who's available at this point. Someone who's going to be good enough of coming into the Liverpool squad, never mind the Liverpool team. That remains to be seen. But I think they're going to have to act. Let's face it, they can't go through the entire season if Van Dijk is out for certainly what's going to be the majority of it, you feel, with just the 2 centre-backs and Fabinho as cover. So that will be something that I think they will have to look at. And it's just really horrendous news. And I'm sure we might touch on it now, but a tackle from Jordan Pickford was horrendous, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. We'll get to the tackle on Pickford very shortly. Just want to ask you a quick follow-up on that regarding the timing. Could probably hardly be worse for Liverpool. They start the Champions League group stage, of course, this week coming up, taking on Ajax on Wednesday. We've one more international break until the turn of the calendar year. So many matches that are going to be coming up for Liverpool. And as you say, with numbers already thin on the ground at centre-half, Joel Matip's only just come back from injury. It's going to be a huge ask. Yeah,
no question. At a time when Gomez is facing question marks over his form, which possibly have been overblown a little bit, but I can see where the concerns are coming from. And Joel Matip has never really proven himself to be a durable centre-back. So it's a massive issue for Liverpool. It's a huge worry, and it's something that could define whether the Premier League title stays in Anfield or not. I really do feel it is that important. I still think the only team Liverpool need to really be checking for on a weekly basis is going to be Manchester City. But after the fact that City drew with Leeds, Liverpool could have turned the screw really there at Aston Villa and didn't, and then they've been robbed at Goodison Park with that incredible VAR call in the last minute of the game, and now they're facing a really tough period without their star man at the back. So it's not been a good couple of weeks for Liverpool, has it? And what happens next could be defining. Liverpool, as I say, I think they need to go into the market for someone, and that needs to be the right man. But who's knocking about, capable of starting for Liverpool on a free transfer? Wouldn't suggest there's going to be many.
No, and I suppose with the UEFA registration, the squad list has, of course, already gone off. Van Dijk is registered for that, so there wouldn't be sort of space, obviously, for a foreign player to come in on that list. It is sort of desperate news, and as you say there, with looking at the Liverpool defence, we've spoken so often about how transformational Virgil van Dijk has been, how much he's calmed players around him and been that leader. I suppose now the hope is, as you say, in the near 3 years he's been at Liverpool, hoping that has rubbed off maybe on the likes of Joe Gomez, and this may just be the coming of age for a player like him.
Yeah, I was just about to say, actually, maybe this could be not so much the making of Joe Gomez, because I still think a fully fit and firing Joe Gomez is probably England's best centre-back. I think this could be a chance now for him to kind of grasp the nettle and really become a leader in this Liverpool team, because let's face it, if he stays fit, he's going to be playing every week, isn't he, alongside Matip, who you hope would stay fit. He hasn't exactly proven that in the 4 years that he's been at the club, but both of those two players really need to step up now and really show that there is life after Virgil van Dijk, and at a time when Alisson Becker's already on the shelf. It's hugely worrying news for Liverpool, and as I say, I really do think this could be a defining period for Liverpool without their talisman at the back.
Yeah, of course. It was only 15 points dropped last season across 38 games. 5 dropped already this season from the opening 5. So we'll have to see how Liverpool do take this news and bounce back from it. Let's talk about Jordan Pickford then and where we're at with that challenge. A few sort of calls through sort of social media and online today that there may be retrospective action against Jordan Pickford. I think the two of us, Paul, just can't believe that no action was taken on the day.
It still beggars belief, doesn't it? To be fair, when I was at the game, I didn't actually see the incident for a number of reasons. Funnily enough, I was where Goodison Park's press box is. I was in front of one of the barriers, so I couldn't actually see it happen. And then the TV that we had for the replays was on the blink, so didn't actually see it until later on that day. I seen stills of it across Twitter and so on while the game was going on, and it looked terrible then. And then when I seen it properly a few hours later, it just gets worse every time. And then you watch it on Match of the Day. I've seen Match of the Day last night. I've rewatched it again this morning, and it's just a really, really poor challenge. I mean, goalkeepers shouldn't be making tackles like that. It's not their forte, is it? Just a really, really bad one. And Jordan Henderson said that Pickford's apologised and so on, but that's not cutting any ice to anyone, is it? You can. Richarlison did the same. He's gone on social media and apologised to Thiago, and it's all nice and well-meaning, but Van Dijk's still on the shelf for 8 to 9 months. Just don't make the tackle. Van Dijk probably not going to score from that angle anyway, and I don't know what the VAR David Coote was looking at. Has he been too worried getting his geometry lines out for the offside to be concerned about the safety of the players? It's just beggars belief. I can't believe that senior Premier League officials and you have to be careful what you say because you don't want to overstep the mark too much. But I can't see how they have done all the messing about you like with the rules and the lines for the geometry, and they've missed the incident with Pickford. It's just beggars belief. But I think that the fact that they have missed it means that the FA are still able to act within 48 hours, if that's our understanding. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But whether Pickford's banned for 3 games or not now, it doesn't really mean a whole lot to Liverpool, does it? They're still without their best defender, possibly for the season, and a massive dent in their title aspirations. So Liverpool are going to have to lick their wounds and come away.
Yeah, as you say, it's a very grey area, this, and it will be left down to the officials that they can, if video evidence clearly shows that a player has committed a dismissal offence that was not seen at the time it occurred by match officials or reviewed at that time by VAR, the FA can take retrospective disciplinary action. Problem is, they did watch the issue back. They didn't review it for serious foul play or violent conduct for a foul against Jordan Pickford, but they did watch it regarding a penalty claim before then, of course, checking the offside. We will have to wait and see how that one does play out. Before we wrap things up, though, Paul, just reacting to this huge breaking news and just finally on the timeline. I know you said at the start, Liverpool not wanting to put a timeline on this. They might hope that Virgil van Dijk might return before the end of the season. But when you look at previous players, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, of course, did pick up an ACL injury himself. They do tend to be rather long-term injuries that keep players out, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool are saying they're not putting a time scale on it, which is fair enough. The surgery hasn't even been booked in yet, but it's not going to be a few weeks, as if Virgil van Dijk will be, as I say, faces an uphill battle to be able to play again. His mentality and his attitude and his fitness record previously all count in his favour, but there's no doubt that he's going to be looking at months rather than weeks, and it's just desperate news for Liverpool, as you say.
Certainly. Well, Paul, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for joining us here on The Agenda on the Blood Red channel, whether it be through the podcast or through our dedicated YouTube channel. The headline tonight then, out of Liverpool, Virgil van Dijk requiring surgery for a damaged ACL. Head across to the Echo to check out more of Paul's writing, a detailed piece over there going through all of the timeline and, of course, the injury itself. But from myself, Guy Clarke here at Blood Red, and Paul Gorst, the Liverpool Echo's Liverpool correspondent, thanks for your time and company. It's bye for now.